Good morning.
Good morning, Olivia.
Hi, Sarah. Bondo is going to be joining us today, mostly because he's a very needy boy right now. We have a foster cat, and it makes him a very jealous dog. So
It's nice to see your face, Bondo.
hello.
He's such a good boy.
He really tries to be. His goal.
It's hard when you have so much energy.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the same with kids, I feel like.
Yeah.
They try.
Totally true.
Especially in the winter here
very,
in Oregon.
On the nose for our topic today.
True.
Hey, everybody. Today, Sarah and I have decided that we're going to start off 2021 with a bang by talking about the concept of reframing success.
Yeah. Stick around. Talk to us. Listen to us. Leave your comments below about how you have reframed success in your life. But first, if you would go subscribe to our channel, hit the little ding ding bell if you want to know when we post. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook and Patreon. That's the Parent Trip PDX, all of it.
Yep. The Patreon small plug is the way that Sarah and I are able to keep making content and able to keep doing what we're doing. So if you like what's happening, you should financially support it. Even if it's to the tune of just $1 a month, it makes a difference for us. So think about it and then go do it.
Absolutely. Okay, so redefining success, kind of in the scope of parenthood, right? It just can, there's so many different things we can touch on today. We'll have to see if we can keep it short-ish. But it can start in pregnancy and then even through birth and postpartum and beyond. All the categories that we at the Parent Trip talk about, choosing what success looks like for you can be a huge part of what makes your parenting life happy, I think, and good.
Yeah, totally. I think that one of the, they say, I feel like I've seen a lot recently that like comparison is the thief of joy, right?
Yes.
And I would say that the opposite side of that coin is that meeting your own standards of success is the creator of joy, right? So if you're able to reframe your definition of success to one that is achievable for you, to something that doesn't feel like it's out of your reach, then when you reach it, it's just a lot easier to feel good about it.
Yeah. And I think also figuring out what your success is, not based on other people. Like an example for me was when I had my first kid 10 years ago. I kind of fell into this like bed sharing situation that I really loved. But the world around me, my whole community around me was very, not necessarily anti-bed sharing, but they were very much like, you're going to have to cry it out at some point. Like she should be sleeping in her own bed. And so like when I would have a hard time with sleep, that would be all the advice I would get. And I let their perspective, their values, I didn't like shift, and I was not fast in what I valued. But then once I, as a parent, kind of settled into that, like, no, I know what I want. I like snuggling my baby in bed and I'm safe doing it. Then when those voices came in, or I would see other people's success stories with cry it out, right? Then I didn't internalize it in the same way.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's why Sarah and I feel strongly about talking about this as a reframe and not as, like making your own or like some other really macho way to talk about it. Because really success is whatever we name it, right? So maybe in your pre-pregnant life, success for you was getting out and running 4 mornings a week before you started work, right? Every time you hit that 4th run, you were like, yes, I did it this week. I feel good about it. How do you reframe that when you're pregnant in order to take into account what this new body and new self needs, right? Mm-hmm. It's not that now you're failing. It's not the binary of success and failure. It's about where on the spectrum do you want to call this is my success?
Yeah, I remember during our last parent trip, someone asked Liz Winters a question about like working out through your nausea or like pushing through.
Yeah.
And it's just, your body is different. It's changed. And so you have to refigure out what what is going to work for you. And one pregnancy is going to be totally different from another. Like just because in your first pregnancy, it was breezy and you still went running 4 times a week, doesn't mean your second pregnancy is going to be the same way, or vice versa. Like for me with my first kid, nursing was super hard. And when I pumped, nothing came out. And then with my second kid, it was fine. And the pump actually worked for my body. It was super, it's just so strange how our bodies work, but it's also very magical. And so just embracing that and being willing to reevaluate as each time your body shifts from pre-pregnancy to pregnancy to postpartum, back to pregnancy, all those things. Like each thing is a shift and it's all going to be different.
Yeah. So one of the first things that I wanted to talk about when it comes to reframing success when you are a parent is I want to talk about evaluating that success and kind of the time that you give yourself to do it. So as many of you know, I'm an ex-theater person. I guess there's no ex. Like I will always be
always thespian for life.
But one of the things that I have left over from my time working professionally in theater is that my instinct, my knee-jerk reaction is to think that literally anything can be done in 3 months, which is how long it takes you to put a show up. And so I'm always like, oh, I'm going to remodel my backyard, or I'm going to completely change my career, or I'm going to whatever. And I only need 3 months to do it. That's all I need. So my first tip about reframing your own success, whatever point you're at, is to really look at what is your knee-jerk reaction for time. Are you thinking that in order to be successful, you need this changed by next week? Are you thinking that in order to be successful, you need it changed in 3 months, like me? And are you being realistic with yourself? Something that I love to tell my clients is that in postpartum, we do not evaluate success day by day. We evaluate it in 2-week chunks. Can you look back to 2 weeks ago and are you at a different place than you were then? Because if you evaluate it day by day, newborns go up and down in everything all the time. Yeah. And so you're just going to feel like a failure if you're comparing today to yesterday to Monday, right?
Yeah.
So I'm working on recognizing that parts of my life take longer than 3 months to change. And I just really, the first thing I just want to say is that I want to encourage you to take the time to look at, I've set this goal for myself. It's January. Everyone's doing that, right? I've set this goal for myself. I've set this project. How much time am I thinking just without being intentional about it that it's going to take? And is that realistic?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the things that I like to tell my clients postpartum is how long can you do this for? Because sometimes it is about like long-term goals and wanting to see like big change over time. But also sometimes like those moments just feel like they're dragging on forever and you just can't do it any longer, And so reframing it to like, this is not about if you continue nursing until 6 months. This is not about if you are getting a full night's sleep. This is about the next like 3 days. Let's make a plan that you can stick to for 3 days. And then you can, and create what you want to do for those 3 days. And that can be your success. And it's the super short term, but that can give you this momentum, I feel like, to be like, wow, that really worked. Or poof, no, that is out. I need something else.
Yeah, totally. Another thing that I thought of to talk about with reframing success is also, I feel like a lot of us, a lot of the people I talk to, a lot of my clients, we in this culture like to call success a finished product, a like check box. Right?
Yeah.
I've got my list of things to do and it's not success until I've checked the box. So if you're like that, I'm like that. If you're like that, then one of the things that I recommend is being realistic with yourself about how many check boxes you can actually get in a day and what quantifies as a checkbox. So for example, I like a clean house, right? I work with many clients who feel that way as well. Putting houses clean on your list is an unreasonable expectation when you have a newborn, right? Yeah. So let's break that down. Let's break that down into the garbage went out, into a load of laundry started, a load of laundry got moved, a load of laundry came out of the dryer. Like, right? Like, let's not just call it laundry. Let's break it into these things. Because if you know that part of your dopamine pleasure release is getting that checkbox, like then let's make all the boxes. Let's break it down, right?
Yeah.
Let's turn laundry into a 5-step process because that's what it really is anyway. because you got to bring it from wherever it is, and then you got to fold it, right? It's a lot.
And you go from, pre-baby, you could probably do all those 5 steps in like a 2-hour period without being interrupted, other than like things that, you have to wait for the laundry. But, once it's done, you pull it out, you fold it, you put it away all uninterrupted. Well, once you have a new baby, somewhere in there, someone's going to poop. Someone's going to throw up. Someone's going to be hungry. You're going to get interrupted along the way. So if you can at least get little chunks of those pieces checked,
right.
It's a good feeling.
So it's about breaking down that list into more manageable pieces, and then also being realistic with yourself about how many are you really going to try and get done. If my goal when my baby is 1 month old is to check 3 boxes today. So part of it is about breaking down those big to-do items like laundry into 5 pieces. And part of it's also just about being realistic about how many pieces can you actually get done today. If you have a 1 month old at home, maybe yes, I'm still here with you. Maybe your tap out list is at 3, right? And those 3 things can include taking a shower, taking a walk, and bringing laundry down to the basement where it needs to get washed. Whether or not it actually starts, you've already done your 3 things today. You're done.
Yeah. One of the things I like about that is that if you have these little tiny steps, when someone comes to see the baby, you can be like, there's this one thing, small thing, like I just need someone to move it from the washer to the dryer, or, it's like a much smaller thing than saying, hey, will you do some laundry for me? Right? Like it's a very clear, this is what I'm asking for.
Yeah, totally.
So one of the other ways that I think about reframing success with parenthood is also kind of, I alluded to it earlier, like the values that you want for yourself. So like with my line of work with lactation, that aligns with, do you want to breastfeed? If that's not something that you want at all, there's a variety of reasons people choose not to nurse their babies, then knowing that success for you is not even trying. And having like a very clear communication at the beginning with your support team that this is not something I want. And then it's up to them to respect it. But you've put that out there. This is my thing. If you do want to nurse, thinking about, do I want to do this as long as it works for me? Do I want to make it to 6 months? Like kind of figuring out what you want. And I know, Olivia, you have plenty of thoughts around like childbirth, right? Like deciding, do I want to have a vaginal birth? Do I want to have a medicated birth? Those kind of things. Mm-hmm. Just because someone over here says you should do it with no medication and at home, but and someone over here says you should have a cesarean, like there's a whole spectrum there. And what works for you is your success. It shouldn't be measured based on either of those ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, I definitely, Professor Emily Oster, who wrote Expecting Better. I was like, oh my God, I completely blanked on the name of that. She wrote Expecting Better. She also wrote Crib Sheet for people with toddlers. She's amazing. And one of the things that she talks about often is that good decision-making is a combination of the empirical data and your subjective values. And when you put those 2 things together and you make a decision, you've made a good decision. It doesn't matter if it's the same as someone else's because their values are going to be different. So you just need the good evidence and your own priorities, and then you can make a good decision. And it doesn't have to include anyone else's priorities or values, right?
Yeah.
I love that. I love her.
And that's a big part of kind of your job, right? Is for you as a labor doula is walking people through that process of finding that good data. And same with me with lactation, right? As far as why you would choose one or the other, like finding that good data, figuring out what's based in fact, and then weighing it with what your kind of hopes and dreams and reality is.
Totally. I mean, honestly, the thing that I tell people, I often have people ask me during my initial consults when they're trying to decide whether or not we're a good fit to work together. I often have people ask me, like, what's your ideal birth? Like, what's the dream birth situation? And I was like, honestly, my bar for success as a professional doula is where my clients have an experience where they were never made to feel afraid or ashamed.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's my bar, right? If we can get there, then we've had a successful birth, whether that baby was born with the use of pain medication, without, vaginally, belly birth, like it doesn't matter to me. It truly doesn't. Like, were you made to feel safe and unashamed? Then that's a win.
Yeah.
So that's my success, right? That's my frame of success. So maybe think about what's yours when it comes to, maybe you're starting solids with your kid, right? And you're trying to navigate, like, are we breastfeeding less? Are we like, what should he or she be eating? What is this? Like, try and think about, what is your level of success? Is your levels of success, we try a new food every week? Is your level of success that my kid isn't hungry when they go to bed? Like, where is it? Because you can make that bar as high or as low as you want it to be. And as long as you internalize it, it's true for you.
Yeah. I mean, there are definitely folks who are like super focused on organic foods that want to make all of it at home. There are folks that do only store-bought. There's folks that do baby-led weaning where they're not actually getting purees at all. Like, there's all these different choices, and they're not necessarily one better than the other. You can certainly do your research on what does organic mean for our bodies. You can look at the budgetary piece for your family. Baby-led weaning has some interesting science behind it. And you look at it all and you figure out what's the best thing for you.
Yeah, totally. And honestly, you can apply this to any part of parenting, right? Yeah. So we've talked about pregnancy, we've talked about postpartum, talking about when you have older kids. I think that, I've been having conversations with some of my friends who have older kids, and they're talking about their relationships to their partners. And they're like, how do I connect with this person more? This is a goal I have, right? So my suggestion is just look at, what are your first thoughts? Is your first thought that you're measuring success with your partner by the number of date nights you go on? And like, how can you reframe that, especially in a pandemic? Like, what does it mean? It's how many times you make each other laugh. Not that you should be counting, but I just mean, how can you break that down? How can you take your first thought of what success is, and how can you turn it into something different, smaller, more manageable, more achievable?
Yeah. And like, circling way back just to the beginning, like, stop comparing to other people. Other people have great ideas. It's not bad to, like, I talked to Olivia about, I ask, what they do. I like to hear how they're doing their life. And sometimes example, since we're talking about relationships, my husband and I have started saying, I appreciate you to each other. That came from Olivia. And it feels ridiculous because we've never done it in our 13 years of marriage. But it first of all, makes us smile because we know that we're putting effort in, and it is silly to be ridiculous, right? But it's also starting to feel more normal, and we're both sometimes really bad about verbally, like, showing each other that we appreciate the things that we do for each other. And so, it's good to hear what other people are doing, especially when you're a parent and, like, you don't have time to read parenting books. You don't. Trust me. But, like, it's like this fine razor's edge, I guess is what it is when you go into the parenting Facebook groups or the blogs. It's great to get that information. It's great to get ideas from each other, but don't think that they have it right. You have to figure out what feels right for you while still having community and hearing what other people are doing.
Yeah, definitely. And, like, I think that the last piece to say about success in 2021, I will vouch, Sarah and I are filming this at the very end of 2020. It's December 29th. We have no idea what it looks like on the other side of that veil. We don't know. But if 2021 is going to be at all like 2020, which we know it kind of will be, we need to just be kind with ourselves about what that success means. Don't resist the urge to make January 1 the day you decide to change everything about your life.
Yes.
We're all coping. We're here. We made it to here. We made it to 2021.
Yeah.
I'm partially recording this for myself to watch when we post this. But we made it.
We're here.
That's by itself, right?
Yeah.
So let's just acknowledge that and start from there.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Little baby steps.
The amount of time you're giving yourself to get something done. Yeah. Break it down into smaller steps, and really just try and combine the data of what you're trying to do with your own values, and you're going to make a good choice.
Yeah.
We think you're doing it already.
You're doing great. Yeah. I mean, I could go on forever about it. It's just hard as a parent. You know, you're in it and you want to do it right. And you want to feel like you're being a good parent. But chances are, if you're here listening to us talk about this, you already are.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's to 2021 and small incremental good things.
Small incremental good things. We're going to make a shirt. It says in really tiny font. Small incremental good things.
Yes. I love it. All right. Well, thank you, Olivia, for talking to me about this.
Yeah. Good job, everybody.
You got this.
Yes. Yes, we do.
Beep,
Beep, beep.
beep, beep.
Thanks for watching. If you liked our channel, please make sure that you hit the button at the bottom and subscribe so you don't miss any other videos we have coming up.
If you want to know the moment we post, hit that bell to notify you.
Ding, ding. We're also on Facebook and Instagram.
At the Parent Trip PDX.
And we have a Patreon that we'd love you to check out.
We do all of this for free. We love to support you. We love to share all these resources. But it would help us out a lot if you came and gave us a little support so we can keep doing what we do.
Thanks.